And we're live. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of React Native Live. Kacper, welcome. How are you?
Hi, how's it going?
Good, good. It's great to see you, and it's great to see everyone in the chat that's coming in now. This is episode 10. This is like a big deal. We've hit double digits now. That's exciting. I
It's very
remember the
exciting.
first one. Yeah, the first one we did wasn't live. It was pre-recorded, and now we've had a couple of live ones. This is great. This is great.
It's anniversary. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
it's a big
yeah.
deal.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for coming on and agreeing to do this. As always, I like to, as people are signing on, I like to ask people where they're signing in from, just to get to see how big, React Native is and where everyone's kind of, listening to for React Native stuff. As always, I'm the host, Mazen Chami, and I live in Durham, North Carolina. We got Gant in the chat from New Orleans, Derek from California, Dan, I know you're from South Carolina, but you didn't write that. That's fine. And then
I wonder if someone is
Tyler.
from Poland, maybe, or at least the continent of Europe.
Yeah, actually we've had a bunch of people sign in from India too.
India,
So
okay.
yeah, so we've had from all over, which is pretty cool. So yes, I'm really excited to have you on the show, Kacper Kapuściak. I hope I said that right.
Yeah.
I practiced a little bit before we went live.
You nailed it.
From Software Mansion. Where are you joining us from?
So I'm joining you from beautiful Kraków, Poland, as the second biggest city in Poland, but it's a Silicon Valley of React Native, I believe, in Poland.
Ooh.
So yeah, that's quite a lot of React Native engineers in Kraków and some other cities in Poland as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. We're going to be talking everything Radon IDE. I like that. That's going to be a fun topic. This is one that I think it's a little overlooked or even just kind of forgotten in the ecosystem. So we kind of get to talk about it and just show off some of its importance and why we should be using it, and hopefully get, some of our listeners to give it a try on their projects. I know I use it. I know Frank has been using it a lot recently. So, and, sorry, anyone else that's been using it, but there's a lot that's been happening. Before we begin, hold on, I think I'm getting a phone call. Okay, got it. That was our lawyer, and he said I can actually make an announcement here. Kacper, you're going to be speaking and giving a workshop at Chain React. Is that correct?
That seems to be right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. This is the first announcement we're going to do on React Native Live. Kacper is going to be giving a talk and a workshop. I won't let you spoil what it's going to be about, but you're going to be one of our speakers.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about Radon.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think for all our listeners, please go to chainreactconf.com, get your tickets if you want to hear Kacper speak, and maybe even go to one of his workshops. I know those workshops are high quality, and we'll have a lot more announcements to come in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned. So Kacper, what are your hobbies outside of, I guess, let's play React Native and tech in general?
So besides the working hours of the day, after work, I've started to see that I'm starting to gain a little bit of weight. So I started running. I started jogging. I started it like a year ago, a couple of seasons. So exactly a year ago. Mm-hmm. And I'm proud to say that I've managed to run half a marathon last October.
Nice.
It was more than 2 hours, so a bit slow. I would like to improve it next time. But just 6 months of practice, I was very proud of myself to even finish. It was awesome. big achievement for me on the hobby side of things.
Yeah. So, did you do it like at an actual half marathon? Like,
yeah.
Nice.
Krakow,
nice. In Krakow.
Yeah, in Krakow. Yeah.
Nice.
It was like a couple of thousand people at the same time running. It was a great event. I had really fun. It was really fun.
You should post some pictures of that. That's pretty cool. That's a cool achievement.
I only post on Strava that much, so.
Strava. Okay, so you use Strava.
Yeah.
Do you use Runna by chance?
No, just Strava. And I have a Garmin watch that plans my trainings, but that's good enough for me, for my level of.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Running.
Runna is built in React Native.
Yeah,
Only
yeah,
reason
that's
why I
true.
was asking that.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think everyone uses Strava. Strava is like
It's like a
the
social media kind of thing.
yeah, it gamifies it almost, right? Like you get the
Yeah,
likes,
yeah.
you get people commenting and stuff. Yeah, I haven't used Runna enough to kind of comment on their
Mhm.
UI, but that's pretty cool. Yeah, um, I think I need to
There are
follow
like
suit with you.
streaks and achievements, all
Yeah,
the stuff. Yeah. So yeah,
yeah, I
it's a good
agree.
app.
It is. It really is. To our listeners, as you're signing on, please, let us know where you're coming in from. Join us, grab a coffee, grab a drink. We're going to be starting soon. I just want to give some people some more time to come on while we get to, learn more about Kacper and his journey while he's running a marathon.
But
Is your goal to get to a marathon?
To marathon? No. Only like full marathon takes a lot of strain on your body.
Yeah,
I think it's more than I can handle. So I'm gonna just stick to half marathons.
nice.
But yeah, improve my time. I would love to go below 2 hours of time. That would
Yeah,
be amazing next time. Yeah.
nice. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I did a half marathon once, and I don't know why I didn't think about where I was doing the half marathon. I was doing it in the mountains of North Carolina,
Oh
and
wow.
it was not fun because I remember turning the corner and all of a sudden just seeing this giant hill and the people being like,
No.
"Go." And I was like, "Oh, that's not fun."
No.
And I was like, "Well, at least when I get to the top, I'll get to, come back down." Only
Yeah.
to realize they were like, "Yeah, okay, now go down and come back up." So, was not fun in that
No.
sense.
So
Yeah.
Krakow is actually quite hilly, but the road of the marathon, half marathon, is quite flat. But there are some hills that you have to traverse in
Yeah.
order to finish. But it's not that bad actually. But yeah, hills and
Yeah.
mountains of Carolina. It's insane.
I mean, this was in Asheville. So if anyone knows Asheville, North Carolina, it's like the mountain. It's like the city that's like on top of the mountains. It's
Okay.
as you're getting there, you're driving. It's like going steep. It's one of those highways on the way down from Asheville has the like runoffs for the big trucks that kind of lose control and kind of run off into the sand and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
imagine doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's insane. Probably you'll get oxygen deprived, like in the mountains. So
Yeah. Well, I think we can kind of move forward here. Please, listeners, keep the chat flowing. Ask any questions, have conversations. I love it when I kind of see the people in there talking, and just keep that conversation flowing. I'm, kind of excited for this topic. And I think, Kacper, before we begin, can you give us like a formal introduction to you and how you became to where you're at now at Software Mansion?
yeah. So again, I'm Kacper. I'm a software engineer at Software Mansion. I've begun my work at Software Mansion in libraries of the React Native ecosystem. I've started working on React Native screens. Then it took like 2 hours of 2 years of work, where we had the React Native screens in a pretty good state. So it was okay to move to React Navigation. I worked with Satya. For
Satya
like
Sahu, yeah.
for like half a year. It was fun. And then I found that the reanimated documentation could be better, so I moved to work on not only an engineering part of things, but technical documentation.
Okay.
It took a lot of work, but I was happy with the results. And then Radon happened, and that was my primary like place of work of my heart, where my heart is,
Yeah.
as working on Radon on DevTools. So yeah, that was what was I doing for the past, again, 2 years at Software Mansion. So I've been working here for more than 5 years now, and
Oh wow.
it was a
That's awesome.
journey. It is a
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm approaching my 5 year at Infinite Red this summer. So I know
Nice.
how that feels. Yeah.
Nice.
But I want to highlight, outside of what you just mentioned with Radon, we have React Native screens. We just had a
Yeah.
React Native radio episode with Christoph Majera from also
Yeah,
Software Mansion. This is a very important library in React Native because,
it is.
whatever package you're using for navigation uses React Native screens underneath the hood. So without it, we'd never be able to navigate between screens, right?
Yeah.
And I said it on the podcast, and I'll repeat it again. It's like React Native screen is always the bridesmaid, never the bride, because it's never getting the publicity that it needs because of how important it is, right? And then we could also translate that to like Radon. DevTools has come a long way in React Native, but also needs to continue support and also the continued feedback from the community, right? Without the feedback, I'm sure you all would not be able to iterate on it and grow it and get it to where it needs to be. So I'm really excited about that. And I think, best next step for us here now is talk to me, what is Radon? For listeners that aren't familiar with Radon, what is it? How does it work? What would you use it for in your, almost like a elevator pitch for it?
Yeah. So Radon, we now call it more Radon than Radon IDE because the name is quite not misleading, but doesn't really tell you well that it's not a separate app. Radon IDE, it's not a separate app. It's an extension for VS Code and Cursor that turns your editor into an IDE.
Yeah.
So you get how confusing this could be. So now, again, let me repeat. Radon is a VS Code and Cursor extension that turns your editor into an IDE for React Native. Okay. That's clean.
Perfect.
So it has a bunch of stuff, a bunch of tools, a bunch of features that makes it easy for you to implement and build React Native Expo apps. And the idea of it is to have it all in one place. Okay, so you not switch between windows, you do not context switch, you have it all in one single window. So we believe in developer ergonomics. We want to improve the developer experience. So that's why we built Radon.
Yeah, that's awesome because it's like you said, it's within one pane of your Cursor or VS Code in that sense. That's actually the cool thing about it is you don't have to, you just enlarge. If you're on for me personally, I usually like to use multiple monitors and stuff. I'll put my devices on one monitor, my editor in one, documentation, but if I'm on the go, Radon is great because I expand it on my screen and it's all right there. I have my code and my simulator in this sense within there. James asking a question. Cursor said they forked because VS Code extensions are limited. Have you found that to be true?
So actually, most of the features Radon have, we built for VS Code, and they automatically, most of the time, work for Cursor as well. So we don't have that many ifs for Cursor. They just work. So yeah, we didn't find that very limiting at all.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know. So, as more IDEs probably come out, you all will start to support them, and then that's kind of where things can start getting tricky. I'm sure.
Yeah. I can tell you more about it, but maybe we can go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah.
So we actually have a lot of we use VS Code APIs a lot, like with the web views. I would do a demo in a second, but yeah. Okay. So supporting forks of VS Code is very, very easy. They mostly just work. It does not only work in Cursor, it also works in how's it called? Windsurf. Because it's also a VS Code fork. But things get tricky with WebStorm or Zed. Zed, for example, does not support web views like at all. It is impossible for us to build Radon for Zed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. I wonder, I think for anyone in the chat, if you're using anything other than Cursor or VS Code, please pop it in the chat. You'd just be interested to hear, what others are using in addition to that.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, that might help you also get some feedback on what other people are using. So, if there's one that you may have missed, right? So let's kind of talk more. Let's stay on that like foundational level of Radon, right? How closely do you all work with the React Native release cycles? Do they affect your ability to kind of, are there a lot of changes that need to happen based on the release cycle is where I'm getting
at. Yeah. So we follow the release cycle very, very closely. Like with the first RC of the first release candidate of the new React Native version, we add the support for the next version of React Native. Our philosophy is for Radon to be quite magical. Like you run your app, you run your project, and it should just work. So there's a lot of magic underneath to make that work. And it does break with, it can break, doesn't always, but it can break with the new version of React Native. So we add support as we go for the next versions of React Native and Expo SDKs as well.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
with
Yeah.
our philosophy, we would like to make Radon just work without any your setup. Just open a project, Radon scans your app and tries to build it, runs the Metro server, runs your package manager, like whether it's npm, bun, or yarn, it doesn't really matter. Radon with heuristics tries to search for that, tries to build your app, and it will, as everything goes well, just work.
Yeah. I can say that when you first, anecdotally, my first experience with Radon was when it was React Native IDE. So
Yeah.
early on beta beginning stages. And I remember trying it in Ignite. I was like, oh, that's cool. Let me give it a try. I added the extension. I believe I was using VS Code at the time, and it just spun up Ignite, and it just kind of worked, as is from the beginning. So Frank said he gave Zed a try, but felt it was fast, but lack of extension support. So then, he switched back to VS Code. Darren said he's currently using VS Code and has started experimenting with moving back to NeoVim. So,
wow.
Any NeoVim plans in the future?
I don't believe that's possible.
Yeah, exactly. That would be great if it's possible, right? But okay, cool. So you're following the release cycle heavily and making sure you're
very,
always
very
aligned
closely.
with them.
Yeah.
When we'll get into more of the specifics of what Radon can actually accomplish and do, but are you relying on what APIs are you tapping into? Any internal APIs, or all public APIs, or a mix of both?
So we tap very deeply into Metro. So if there are any breaking changes, and they are breaking changes in Metro, we have to manage it ourselves. So we go deep into Metro. We as well into the build system of Expo. For example, if your app uses Expo, then we also kind of rely that the API is stable, which is sometimes true, sometimes not. So we have to adjust for it. So yeah, mostly Metro, mostly build systems.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, we also use for our debugging experience the Chrome DevTools protocol from React, the same that uses React Native DevTools.
Yeah.
So we also use that. That's via Metro, I believe.
Awesome. Yeah. Excuse me. Cool. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add onto the stage your screen share, and we can kind of dig into a little bit more of the demo documentation and stuff that I know you might have.
Yeah, that's perfect. You can see my screen. That's amazing.
Yes.
Okay. So
I'd say maybe if you can zoom in just a little bit on. Perfect.
Okay. Now it's good?
Yep.
That's perfect.
Let's do
Okay.
this.
So let's start with the demo. So the panel on the right-hand side, I'm running a stock VS Code. I prefer using VS Code over Cursor because I use Claude for my agents. But yeah, this is a stock VS Code app. And the panel on the right-hand side, that's Radon. But let's start from the beginning. Let's start how to get started, how to install Radon in your project. So let me just close that. You get Radon from a stock VS Code marketplace. From here, you search for Radon, and there you have it. Click install, and it's done. That took, I don't know, 5 seconds, okay?
Yeah.
When you have it installed, a new button will appear in your editor. It's right here in the left bottom corner, Radon IDE right here. I don't know if you can see it.
Yep.
You can also, let me click this. This will open the panel with Radon. You can also do this via command line, show IDE panel, show right here. Okay.
Yep.
Radon runs, as I've said, tries to scan your project. Here I have two apps in my folder. I have a React Native Expo app built with Expo SDK 54 and some backend stuff to demo Network Inspector later on. Radon scanned my project, found that there is a React Native Expo app in .app. It's installed Node modules. It ran CocoaPods install, built the native app, and did it right here. So that's iOS simulator. Let me also run this project on Android to show you that it does what I just said. Puts the device, tries to do it, and starts the app.
So what's happening right now in this process? If you can just kind of walk us through what it's trying to do.
Yeah, exactly like I said. So it does here, it would do npm install, right?
Yep.
It runs the simulator that it created for itself. First, you have to create either an iOS simulator on Android emulator in Radon. These are separate from the ones you have on your computer. I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
You choose either iOS or Android. You can switch between these two.
Perfect.
So it's built, run emulator or simulator. It attaches the app to the simulator, runs Metro server underneath, and we hook into that Metro server. I didn't have to do any commands in the command line for it to work.
That's what I was, okay. I was going to ask you that. If you open up your terminal has nothing technically running.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I have a backend in my other terminal. That's all.
That's all. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. So that's magical.
Yeah.
If that works, you can see that there's a detected application that's currently running right here. If you have some custom setup, because magic does not always work, you can adjust your config from here. And there you can have like additional environment variables or custom schema, or you can even go from the EAS to fetch a built native app, right? We will still build the Metro and get the bundle because, well, you want to make some changes, but the native part can be fetched from EAS. So that's for custom. Here, it just worked. It found the app, the React Native Expo app in here, build, run. It works. That's pretty nice. Well, let's go back here into this model. In this model, there is also one more section called Radon Connect. Because you sometimes don't want to connect, you don't want to use our built-in simulators that are separate from the ones you have on your computer. You want to use your own, or you want to use like VR headsets or TVs. This is also possible from here. If you connect using Radon Connect, you can use some of the features like debugger. Not all the features are available through Radon Connect. You'll see why in a second.
Okay.
This is obvious in like a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here you can add more, you can switch between them and so on. That's how you manage devices. Here, if you have a monorepo setup, you have many apps. For example, we use that in reanimated repo. We have different apps for different cases. You can switch between running app right here.
Awesome.
Nice. Okay. So that's this. One more thing about the setup. By default, Radon runs in a different mode. It runs in the editor tab, and it gets mangled with other like files. Okay, so you might want to change it to a side panel. So right here, change IDE location, move to side panel, and everything is clean.
Okay,
right?
Nice. And your code can open up in that middle section there.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is one thing that we are limited by VS Code. We can't change the default of that. So that's kind of answer to your question whether it's limiting or not. This is the only thing that's limiting.
Frank is asking an interesting question, based on the setup part. Can you run one app from a monorepo on a particular simulator and another app on an Android emulator at the same time?
Could you run one app from a particular?
So if you're in a monorepo setup and you have two apps, can you run, like, say, on iOS app A and Android app B? Or are they always running the same
server would mangle with each other, but I don't see why you can't use a different VS Code instance. But this is, you would have to open a different VS Code instance for this. So no, but kind of doable.
Yeah. Perfect. Awesome.
Okay, so that's the setup part. We have it running. We have it installed.
Mhm.
Let's go into features, right?
Yeah.
So let's say I've never seen this code base before, which is kind of true because it was vibe coded using Claude, but this is the
Like
best part.
all of the apps recently.
For the demo app, for a live stream, it's perfect.
Yeah.
You can just explore the code base by right-clicking and seeing the like dimensions of the screen or the view care key, and you can quickly jump to the exact line of code where this part was defined. So
Ooh.
here I have another card, for example. I go pressable, boom, right here, instantly to the line of code where this is defined, right?
Yeah.
You can also do, instead of right-click, you can go here, select an element to inspect it, and hover over, you see the dimensions. So for example, this is 55 by 55, right?
That's pretty cool.
Really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Go or right-click, see dimensions or in which like line of code and which name it
File.
is, like the file name, right?
Yeah. I think in React Native, with the like whenever you get the red screen, you get an error. You never
Yep.
really know where it's happening. You almost have
Yep.
to delete all your elements and start over almost. This
Yeah.
is very helpful because you can
Yep.
click into an element and see exactly where that is happening and make changes from there. That's pretty slick. That's cool.
It's great for onboarding and great for like exploring new code bases or vibe coded code bases.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go to the next one. Here I have a pressable, right? And this pressable, I wanted to show you the debugging experience.
Yeah.
So I had a breakpoint right here, but let me remove the breakpoints. Add again. It should just work. I don't have any like setup for debugging. It should hopefully it works.
Yeah.
Attached to the session, stopped code execution, and I can go and see like the debugger console, what's currently logged, and let me like print something from the scope. For example, I don't know, colors, and enter. There you go. Okay, so that's the current colors in the scope of the code. And something maybe more interesting is whether it's pressed.
Right. And just to confirm, the colors is coming from up above line 24, right? Perfect. Cool.
Yeah. Pressed. It should be true because I just pressed and it is actually true.
Nice.
So yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And debugger also can go like to the next line of code. You can go inside of the function, like step into, step out, or just resume code execution and goes to the next screen as it should. Pretty slick.
That is
nice.
very, yeah.
So that's the debugger. Breakpoints. In this exact file, let me click that breakpoint again. In this file, I have some different feature of Radon. This is kind of storybook-ish like, but very, very lightweight. Radon allows you to test components in isolation. It comes with a preview package. It's from here, like import preview from Radon IDE. It gets stripped when you like build a production build, so it doesn't pollute. It has no effect on the production. Yeah, so you can just leave it. And when I click here, open preview, it goes. It shows only the component. You can work on it, like changes from silver to gold. Yeah, changed.
Nice.
I can change, I don't know, dispatch from green to red. Yeah, there you go.
That's awesome.
And you work on a component in an isolated manner, and you can change like the props it has. Pretty cool.
That is cool. Question on that, on preview specifically, John Major said a lightweight storybook. That's pretty, I agree. Is it, if I were to create this sort of, say, QA preview build of my application, preview will be available in there. Is there a way for me to be able to create like a screen? Like, will it attach to it, or is it just in the IDE instance that
it's in the IDE instance?
Okay.
It's in the IDE. Yeah, you have to have the panel open for it to work.
Perfect. Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
what's next? Okay, so let me go back to the home screen here. And because we believe that Radon should just do all the stuff that can improve React Native developer works, and we have a separate simulator instance running here, we've added device settings inside of Radon. So here in this panel, I can change like light mode, dark mode. You can instantly see it in the preview. You can change the text size to see how it behaves, like changes the layout for accessibility stuff. Yeah. The classic stuff, home button, app switcher, rotate device. It rotated. Yeah.
Yeah. Now good luck bringing it back.
Yeah, I've managed. Location, localization, send some files to the simulator, and roll biometrics authentication. That's basically what simulator can do. And we've brought it to VS Code for you because it's handy.
It is.
Something more volume, you can see how it changes the volume, runs the action button. If your app has some permissions that asks, you can reset all of them right here, both on iOS and Android. I believe this one either, some of the features, I believe reset all permissions works both on iOS and Android, and some of these work only on iOS or Android. I don't remember, I'm sorry, but this one works for both.
I wish push notifications were doable on simulators because that's one that you wouldn't have to delete the app and reinstall the app every single time.
Yeah. And show touches, enable replace, that's enabled. You can also save some space in the editor to when you hide a frame. That's nice to have.
That is, yeah.
Show touches will be important in a second, but you can see the touches I do on the simulator. Oh hell, okay. Let's say it immediately. Simulator has, like the stock simulator on macOS has one problem, that you can't see the touches on recordings.
Yeah.
Radon fixes that because we also always see the screen, like we kind of own it on the simulator, let's say. When I do a recording, it will show the touches. This is like a nice to have thing. I have so much stuff on the desktop. I don't want to save it to desktop, sorry. You gotta believe me that it works.
Yeah.
You can try it. You can try it on your own.
Exactly.
I don't want to spoil my desktop. So yeah. So this works in Radon. It doesn't work in a stock iOS simulator.
Yeah, and that's I can also think of many scenarios where that will help you debug, what's being clicked and how it's happening, or even just for the product team to see like, okay, I clicked, I performed this action. Now what's happening, right? And we can kind of show them that, hey, I'm clicking on this button and it's performing it or it's not, and kind of go from that perspective. That's pretty cool.
Next feature. So it's all an integrated experience. You've seen the debug console previously, like a couple of minutes ago, but you can go bring it back, like open logs panel from this button right here. It shows you all the logs your app has done. Because it's in VS Code, we have a way to filter through the logs. So I can like search into my logs that the React Native app did. So let's search, I don't know, silver. There you go, right? And it also lets you jump to the exact line of code this log was defined. So it's pretty cool. The same as the element inspector. This is the same mechanism, but it's very handy. If you've left it not on purpose, you can quickly go and remove this right here. This is pretty cool. If I have an object, I can go inside of them. This is not very complicated broad object, but you get the idea. You can go deeply to the nested objects from here. So this is the logs. Jump to the line, jump to the code, and filtering.
Perfect.
Right from here. I'll close it. Next one. Radon comes with a lot of tools, and I mean it. They're all here. Okay? I've specifically created this app to demo most of them. Like Maestro tests take a lot of time, so it would be boring. It works. I can show you at the end of the stream, but currently it will take a lot of time and it's boring, like robot clicking stuff.
Yeah.
But JS CPU profiler. Okay, I have an example in my settings. One of the switches right here blocks the JS thread. It takes a lot of time on the JS thread. I don't know which one. Like I do, but let's say I don't.
Yeah.
Let's make this bigger. Let's run the JS CPU profiler. I'm not leaving the VS Code. Again, it's all in the VS Code. Clicking, 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 and stop profiling CPU. It creates a CPU profile. And when I run the flame chart, I can see that the first 2 clicks were very, very short, right? But the third one, oh boy, it took a long time. And I can see that handle sync to close change does something for a long, long time. I click here and here. It says, oh, the JS thread is blocked. Okay, I've just found the issue. I found that this one takes a lot of time on the JS thread.
Yeah. Well, that's very handy. You get to click into it and find exactly the spot where that's happening.
So the flame chart actually is not part of Radon. It's a different extension by Microsoft, but it's all, you can see how it's all integrated into one thing, right? So this is actually a separate extension. Yeah.
Do we need to install that extension to get this feature, or does Radon automatically just leverage that extension?
I believe you have to.
Okay.
So
I assume the docs will show you.
Yeah. I believe so. Yeah. So this is something we could actually improve. Thank you. It's nice.
Yeah, there we go. Yes, I did my part.
Yes. Next thing, outline renders. That's a part, one feature of Radon's React Scan.
Yeah. That
highlights re-renders. So here it said, whoa, okay, I can see that it needs an improvement, especially like this part right here. When I type something, everything re-renders.
Yeah.
So React Scan shows me that I need to improve my app, or ask Claude to do so. Never mind. Outline renders.
Frank actually asks a good question, kind of while we're on that note. What's the best way to leave feedback whenever there's a bug or feature that we would like?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our preferred way is to use GitHub issues. So that's github.com/softwarementions/Radon IDE. That's the best place to ask feedback, bugs, features, etc.
Perfect.
Thanks for the question. Auto renders. I'm not gonna go very deep into all of them. Just gonna show you that it works. So we have React Query DevTools, the same you would have in the browser. They are embedded as a panel in VS Code thanks to Radon. You can debug stuff here. Same with Apollo clients. If you have GraphQL, that works. Let me refetch something. Yeah, there you go. It works. I don't know why is its white theme, but it's okay. And we have Redux DevTools. This app just uses all of them, all the ways to fetch, just to show you that it's possible. And it comes pre-built. The best part is you don't have to add anything to your app. Like if your app uses Apollo client, you don't have to install other parts. It just works.
And it's all within the same VS Code or cursor that you're using. So if you don't have to leave this environment, go anywhere else, it's all contained within this one screen.
So some of the debugging tools need to, for example, add some more packages or wrap a screen with something. Okay, this one tries to do it all for you, so you don't have to think about it. This is the main philosophy of Radon.
That's great.
It's Redux. But I would like to spend some more time on the network.
Yeah.
So this is a network inspector panel. You can filter stuff, but the best part is that no one other has is that throttling of the request. It doesn't disable my internet fully. I still have connection because I wouldn't be on the live stream if I did that. But here I turned off the network for my simulator, and you can see that, in fact, all of the requests are failed, but I'm still connected to live.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
pretty cool.
That is.
And you can debug what happened, go into that, see the response. There's no response because the request failed. But let's go to another one. I can see response beautifully colored with syntax. If the request is too big, it won't be highlighted, but you can right click and see the whole response in your editor right here, right? You can also like copy as URL, and you can debug this in terminal as a fetch, as a URL, all the good stuff. You can sort like by name, status, and so on.
Yeah, these are all handy as you're debugging your network requests. This morning I was debugging a network request, so this perfect way to debug it and see how it's happening, what my error is. That's perfect.
One more feature about network, we also support. Oh, I don't have the internet.
Yeah.
No throttling. Okay, there you go. We also support images, so you can preview. That's cool.
Nice, John Squirrel.
Yeah, exactly. So filtering, I can clean this or throttle to different speeds. I don't have networks here. It shows you here that it's 4G.
I was going to say, even when you turned it off, it went gray, like there's no connection.
Yeah, right here.
There you go. Yep.
That's a nice one. Yeah, filtering, sorting, copying, seeing the response body. Yeah, pretty good.
That is.
Okay. One more feature. So that's about it about the tools we have. We also have some features on screen recording. We've seen the screen recording works. You can also see the screenshot of the screen, like not see, like save screenshots.
Save it.
Yeah, and this one is a bit of a gimmick, but I found it very handy for animations actually. So let me click here. I can rewind to what has already happened on the screen.
That's pretty cool. So you get to slow it down, I assume, too.
I can go frame by frame and debug like an animation. Currently, I'm using my keyboard to go frame by frame. I would usually, before Radon, I would open my QuickTime.
Yeah.
And then I open another part and go then part by part. But here it's all built in into Radon. You can see it. And I can just go and press it again.
That's cool. I like how you have the old school camera there with the replay and stuff. That's pretty cool.
Let's try again. Yeah, there you go. Rewinds, replays, and goes back 5, 10, 30 seconds. Right? So if a bug appeared and I didn't pay attention, I can rewind to see, hey, wait, what happened? Right?
That is actually very handy, right? 30, like you just said 30 seconds ago, if you run into a bug, you want to go back and see how your path, right? Can you, I see it right there at the bottom right. You can save this. So you get to save this video. So if you are trying to QA it, you get the video and you get to kind of send it along to the other developer, try and replicate that situation. That's very handy. Yeah, I can see that.
Very
Frank
useful.
asked another question. Yeah, very useful. Since you can set breakpoints and utilize step into, could you also set a breakpoint inside of a library residing in node modules and expect it to hit?
Ooh, that's a great question. We can try test it. I'm not sure, but I'm adventurous today. So
let's do it.
I don't know. Let's see what happens. So let me don't save that. I have what I have here, like Explorer. That's a complicated library.
Yeah.
But maybe that will do the trick. So what I do right click, go pressable, element inspector, goes here. I have router push. So let's go. Let's try put a breakpoint. go, next line, and step into.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Does it answer your question?
Yeah, okay. It gets a little more complicated because of the build pipeline, right? The way
it doesn't have source maps of
yes.
Kacper router. We can try on different stuff, but I believe that depends.
Yeah.
Here it didn't work, as you would expect.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And he just read. Gotcha. That's cool though. It's cool that you get to step into it. You know.
Yeah.
Whether it's stepping into a native module file, right, or you're even just stepping into your utility function, you get to step into it, see what's happening, and so on. Yeah, that's very helpful.
I can make a function. Maybe not just router, but hello. It does something. Maybe console log. Yeah, that's perfect. No, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Way too many times. I've made a lot of changes at the same time. Put it. Okay, let's try again.
Try again.
Go next. Let me try again.
Refresh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No. Oh, I know what's happening because there are many elements on the screen, the same elements.
We're gonna have to go through every single element in the periodic table.
Yeah.
Well, I guess now we get to find out how many elements there are, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Frank.
No. Thanks, Frank. Exactly. So that was unexpected.
Could we just switch to Android and just kind of continue and maybe see it on Android? Or is Android in the same?
No, it should be okay.
Yeah.
There you go. One more feature we have, I believe that's the last one we have the time for, is the Export Router integration. So from here, you can quickly jump between screens. It shows every screen that your Export Router app has. And you can quickly, if you know the name, you can type in edit profile. It will go to that screen. There you go.
Nice.
I can go back.
Does this pull from Export Router or types, or how does it automatically do this?
So Export Router has a sitemap kind of thing that we read.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, that's very helpful. And I saw earlier in the tools there's deep linking too, which very similarly will handle.
And open a deep link, and it will either terminate the app, so like kill it. It simulates the way a user would open an app from the background. So you send a notification, for example, and
push notification,
yeah, and it will open it the same way when the app is like terminated. It will try to run the app from start. Yeah,
that's helpful.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, I think that covers everything you wanted to kind of go over. Can we, before we kind of wrap up, can we go over Maestro, like testing? How does Radon integrate with Maestro specifically?
That's a great question. So we have a way to run inside of here Maestro that will click inside of the emulator or simulator. So you point and start Maestro tests, and you have to pick which test it should go over. App, I have it here in Maestro folder, and I can just either go each one by one from here and open and run, or go through all of them, like so.
Okay.
So let's try it. Currently, the debugger is all over, so I'm kind of scared to do that, but maybe it will work. So it goes Google Pixel 9, starting Maestro Flow. It failed. It failed to run. So yeah, in the perfect world, that would run. Let's try again. Live demos, am I right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it happens.
I've tested it before the live, and it worked. All of them failed.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
And that's because of the issue we ran into earlier on the iOS
Yeah, I
side.
believe so. It repeated.
Yeah.
Let's try to run like this the simulator again and just like talk. It will boot. It will take some time.
Yeah.
But it
As
has
this is
caches.
booting and stuff,
Yeah.
Frank's asking also, is it possible for the Maestro MCP to pick up the Radon simulator?
No, it's not possible. I don't believe it's true. No.
Okay.
But we are working on Radon MCP for it to make it work kind of similarly to Maestro MCP.
Okay.
Okay, let's run the tests, and I will tell you a bit more. Try one more time. If that doesn't work, let's go to something else. Okay, iPhone 17 Pro, Maestro tests.
Let's go
Yeah,
demo.
okay.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, something is happening.
Yeah. So I close the app, install the Maestro driver.
Yeah, it runs inside our, does something as Maestro does, but on our simulator. I can tell you more about Radon MCP. So I have it here, like in the docs. That's the easiest way to do it. It's a set of tools that helps you either in Cursor or VS Code Copilot, GitHub Copilot, with additional information like documentation, or the agent can reload the app inside of Radon. It can view application logs, view screenshots, view component tree, and so on. It doesn't click yet here, Radon MCP,
Okay.
but we are building something that can.
Oh, okay.
That's a segue.
That's a segue into so let me help you segue into that, Kacper. What's the future? What's coming soon in Radon?
So that's a segue. We've just announced like an hour ago on
Right
our
before we
Twitter.
went live. Yeah.
Okay, that's me. A new tool called Argent that does exactly what Radon MCP can't. This is a separate tool from Radon, but kind of enhances not only developers, but agents. So in this demo, we asked our new tool, Argent, to debug an issue itself. It scrolls, pinches, goes to next screen on its own, and figures out how to debug the issue, and then you can ask agent to fix it for you.
Oh, wow.
It does it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
We also, in this demo, it's not shown, but we would like to learn all the stuff that we learned from Radon, like the dev tools, like Network Inspector, like React Query dev tools, all the good stuff of Radon, and hence agents to have that knowledge via Argent. It's called Silver. It's a different element. That's the pun. So
that's great. And all built on top of Radon and the learnings from Radon, and essentially improving the developer experience and all their dev tools within that.
Because the programming world, the engineering world changes, how we build apps, and we rely less and less on editors and IDEs, we believe that's the next step of building and improving the dev tool community for React Native.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's hot off the press, right? It literally was just announced
today.
Yeah. 4:10 p.m. and I believe we were on live stream at 5 p.m. your time.
Yeah.
So that's hot off the press for sure. So yeah, give that a check, listeners, and let us know what you think.
We will
Anything else?
open source this and give the way to install it next week-ish, so very, very soon.
Awesome. Anything else coming in for Radon? What are some new features within the IDE, like Radon IDE, that you're looking to add to it that you've gotten a lot of feedback from our listeners?
So a lot of people are asking for WebStorm support, but that's very hard for us to build. Yes, exactly.
What about JetBrains and IntelliJ?
Exactly. Yes. Yes. So we rely a lot of VS Code APIs for build Radon. So this is it is doable, but incredibly hard. So that's a maybe, I would say. We see a lot of people using Network Inspector, like a lot of our clients. This is one of the main features, and we would like to invest some more in it. Very lately, so last release, I believe we added the network, network throttling and native traffic on iOS. So I didn't demo it, but yeah, we try to invest more in the network inspector features of Radon. Like,
Cool.
Radon isn't going anywhere, but I had the opportunity to demo something, like show you something new, so I did.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. And Frank promises this is the last question. We'll find out soon if it is.
Yeah.
What is your favorite but lesser known Radon feature that you couldn't live without?
Wow. So I mostly use, it's a very known feature, the element inspector. This is my favorite one. But I also use, what I use most, I believe this is the most used feature by me. Yeah. I'm going to stick with element inspector. This is the most well-known, but still the most used by me. So I'm going to stick with this.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think, for our listeners, please give this try it out on your projects. Like we said earlier, if you have feedback, if you have questions, go ahead and post it in the GitHub issues. Ask Software Mansion, if something's capable, if it's coming down the pipeline, if it can be fixed. I think, I always say it on the podcast and on here, our community and our open source community for React Native is the reason why React Native is so successful and being used by all these major platforms and these major apps and major companies too. And, thank you, Kacper, and your team at Software Mansion for putting this together and other tools.
Thanks so much for
Reanimated and all. It's great. And I really appreciate it. While we wrap up, I love to kind of end off with a rapid fire section. So are you ready?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do this.
What music or song do you like to have while coding?
I have a playlist that's followed by 2,000 people of songs from fantasy worlds. It's called Music for Learning, but in Polish. And it has soundtracks from Skyrim, from Witcher, for example. This is my favorite playlist of all time. I made it 5 years ago, and I'm still listening to today.
Wow.
So
yeah, you need to share it. Yeah, you need to share it, and we'll kind of get it on there.
It's public. It's called Muzyka do Nauki, but it's in Polish.
Got it.
I can change the name if you want.
No. Leave it authentic how it is.
Yeah.
What's your favorite recent movie or TV show?
Ooh. So I wanted to see the Peaky Blinders movie. I've just seen the trailer on Netflix. I haven't seen this, but lately I've been obsessed about Bond movies. So with Craig, so the new ones,
new Bond,
and I had the whole marathon, not running, but movie marathon of Bond lately, and I've really enjoyed this.
Nice. Which one is your favorite?
Skyfall.
It's a good one. I agree. Yeah. What is a product that you've recently discovered that you love, whether it's an app, a kitchen gadget, a home gadget, car gadget? What is one?
Oh, it has to be physical.
Or an app is not physical. No.
App is not physical. Well, to be honest, I fell in love with Cloud Code.
Yeah, bringing it back.
That's the easy pick for me. Yeah, I believe I will lock in. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say something like a treadmill that's been helping you practice for your marathon.
No, I run outside. No.
That's better, actually.
Yeah.
Run outside.
Yeah.
What's one piece of advice you'd give to someone just starting out in React Native?
Learn the basics. Go through, read every line of code, even if the new agents help, but the basics won't change. Start with Expo. Just use Expo. This is the most useful advice, actually, I would say. Learn the basics. Learn And learn reanimated.
Yeah.
I would go with that.
Yeah, do some
Reanimated
animations.
basics.
Reanimation,
Some animations.
it's very powerful, and you can build some cool animations with it. That's for
It
sure.
helps your brain because you have to think very hard.
Yeah. Do some potential math in there.
Yep.
Last question. Where can people find you if they want to reach out to you? And most importantly, how can our listeners be useful to you?
Wow. So I would advise you to follow us, Software Mansion, on Twitter or X at SWMansion. That's our handle. For me personally, my name and surname without the sh. So that's Kacper Kapuściak, but without the, yeah, you get the idea. My name and surname at basically everywhere, I believe, but I mostly lurk on Twitter. So that's the best place. And for our listeners to be useful for us, send us feedback. Send us feedback either on GitHub Issues is the best place to send feedback for Radon, I believe. Yeah. You can also join our Discord, but Issues, best place, GitHub Issues. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. And again, if, as I mentioned earlier, and I know Frank said he had his last question. This is not a question, but I agree with him. Come chat with Kacper at app.js. Frank and I will also be there along with Gant. And also at Chain React again. Kacper will be speaking and giving a workshop. You don't want to miss it.
Buy the tickets. Somewhere is the link.
Yeah, well, chainreactconf.com. I think I can see if I can post it. Chainreactconf.com. There we go. Boom. Buy your tickets.
Buy tickets. See you there.
Kacper, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. This was a fun episode. I know I'm going to continue using Radon and, use all these new features that you've kind of shown me. Some of them I didn't even, maybe glossed over that I kind of want to extend using too. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for having me. I had also it was very, very fun. Thank you.
Yeah. And I want to thank the audience. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for asking questions, mingling. I really appreciate it. It's always awesome. Don't forget to subscribe and reach out if you have any topic suggestions you'd like to go over in the future. And this was episode 10, and hopefully many more to come. Thank you all. Have a good one.
See ya.